Good afternoon, good evening. I'm so happy to see you at my second discussion panel, this time connected with very interesting topic for musicians, connected with stage fright. What is it and how we can tame it? Musicians' health, why should we care? So I think it's for everybody, not only for professionals, but as well for students, even if they are already start musical journey. I would like to say hello for all of you. So I would like to introduce you as well to each other. So Sarah Watts from England.
Hi, nice to be here as well from my office in Sheffield.
Hello, Georgiou from Cyprus.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you.
Hi. Hannah Shilvock from England.
Hello, nice to see everybody.
Griselda Giannini from Argentina.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, fine, thank you. And Robert Stefański from Poland.
Hello, my friends.
Okay, so let's start. I believe that our conversation will bring some new things, new ideas, and I hope it will be as well great for another person if there is somebody who is interested in this topic, but I believe there are a lot of people. So I would like to start with the first question. So what is exactly stage fright in your opinion, and what do you think about the positive and negative aspect, and how we can connect this with our profession? So somebody would like to start to share with the view, because I know that it's a situation which looks different in different countries, and as well it's different on different levels. So if we are professionals or when we already start our musical education, so how do you see that?
Maybe I start, is possible?
Of course, of course.
Okay. I'd like to share my personal experience that showed me how important it is for musicians to take care of their health. For about 10 years, I worked in free music schools at the same time, teaching clarinet to students all of all ages, from beginners to advanced players. Looking back, I realize how demanding that was for my body. Long hours of sitting, tension, poor posture, no regular exercise or rest, all of that led to serious back problems. I developed an injury in my lower spine and lived with pain that affected both my daily life and my ability to play. That's when I understood that a musician is, in a way, like an athlete. Our body is our instrument, and it needs regular care, training, and recovery. So I decided to change my habits. Now I stay active. I go swimming to the gym, and I cycle and walk a lot. These activities keep me fit and balanced both physically and mentally. Um, the results came faster than I accepted. The pain disappeared, my posture improved, and my playing became easier and more controlled. I noticed I had better breath support, endurance, and focused. It even changed the way I teach and connect with my students. That's why I always tell my students that physical activity is not luxury, it's a necessity. Even 1 hour, 2 or 3 times a week can make a big difference. It can be swimming, yoga, cycling, running, or just walking. What matters is movement and recovery after long hours of practice. When I'm short on time, I do short 15 minutes routines at home, stretching and simple yoga poses that strengthen and relax my body. These short sessions give me energy and a positive start to the day. From my experience, I can truly say that a musician's health is the key to artistic longevity. Taking care of the body is an investment in the quality of our playing, our joy in making music, and our fulfillment as teachers.
Great. I fully agree with you. Fully agree with you.
Thank you.
And I think it's very important, and I try as well to convince my students that not only clarinet playing is important, but as well doing something with the body, especially that our instruments like clarinet, it's connected with our body, our lungs, because we need to give air to the instrument. Without air, we have no sound. So I really often recommend that my students, instead of 6 or 8 hours of practicing, they should go at least for 1 hour of training or running or swimming or yoga, like you, Robert, exactly told. And as well, because I always like when I try something on me and then I recommend to my students. So I tried to live in the same way. So especially before my PhD, because it was connected with ARTE by Stockhausen, so I needed to be fit as well. So I regularly went to the gym and do some exercises connected with yoga, because I guess that and I believe in that it's connected with reducing stress. And I want to tell you that really that worked, because I felt better. Even I knew that one day, for example, because I had some headache or something like that, I practiced less clarinet. But when I worked with my body, I even had a feeling that my playing is better. So I fully agree. Unfortunately, it's really hard to convince students to do that, because they think if they spend more hours on practicing, they will be better. But everybody needs to feel and maybe have own experience to prove that. And I'm really happy that Hannah is with us, because Hannah is not only clarinet player, but she's as well yoga instructor. So Hannah, how looks like from your points of view and your experience?
Yeah, so I completely agree with everything you've both said so far. My background before going to music college was in competitive martial arts. So I've always been active and fit, but that was sort of leading me down unhealthy habits. You know, we were training really hard, but there was no sort of teaching on how to rest and relax after. It was just sort of like kick, 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 then go to the pub, like when you're at university. There was no sort of like, now you need to stretch properly, now you need to look after yourself. So it was really fun. But then when I decided that I wanted to take music more seriously, my clarinet playing and my ability to perform was awful. Like I used to get such bad stage fright. I used to get really bad anxiety. I used to be really stressed all the time. And then when I moved to London, it sort of made things even worse, because I was now in this really stressful city doing a stressful master's degree at music college, and my body was stressed. I was injured all the time. I was sick all the time. Like I constantly had a cold or flu. Like it was a really bad sort of combination of things. But luckily I was at Trinity Laban in London, which is also a dance college. So they have in their dance college free yoga classes, like physiotherapists, like the whole spectrum of sort of health and fitness, but for performers, primarily for dancers, but they did also have yoga for musician sessions. And that's how I discovered yoga, and actually then sort of gave up taekwondo because I found this other thing that made me feel like sweat, and it was physically difficult. So I was getting sort of the endorphins that I got from martial arts. But then I was also feeling this other side, this meditation that I'd never done before, breath work, which isn't about necessarily like extending your breath for clarinet playing. It's more about just controlling your thoughts, controlling like the emotions and things. So that sort of opened up this whole other world to me, which I mean, it's a gradual process, right? You can't just do a yoga class and be like, I'm immediately relaxed. You kind of have to learn like how it works, and you kind of have to believe in it as well, for it to really help. Obviously, stretching is great, but all the other sort of psychological effects that a practice like yoga or meditation, or even just running, because that can be quite meditative, takes your mind off things. That had so many benefits on, just my general emotional well-being. I wasn't getting backache because I wasn't sitting down all day. Like I was looking after my body, I was getting stronger, but it meant that I could control my breath and I could control my emotions more. So I wasn't getting so stressed out. My performances were better. My mental focus was better. So when I finished my master's degree, I then did a 300-hour yoga teacher training. And initially, I wanted to try and do more yoga teaching than music teaching, because I found that yoga was something that was really passionate and sort of fed into every other aspect of my life. But the reality of musicians is that our schedules are hectic all over the place, generally not much consistency. So actually trying to do something that was musician specific, which is something that I feel really passionate about, is way more tricky in real life. So I think that is almost why musicians need it even more, because we don't have this regular schedule. So I think that it should sort of be embedded into all sorts of music courses, like it was for me at Trinity, that we had it there. Otherwise, I would never have found it, I suppose. But not even the physical side. I think the breath work and the meditation is far more beneficial for musicians than anything else. Sorry, I've spoken quite a lot, but
Oh, no, that's great. Hannah, I have as well a question. So if you recommend to go some musician to go for yoga session, so how do you think after how many lessons or how many weeks they can see some difference?
I think you feel an immediate difference after,
Oh,
like
okay.
any sort of exercise, right? But I feel like it's one of these things that the more, I guess, subtle psychological things just take a while. And it depends on who's leading the classes, depends on, because again, you get really great yoga teachers, like you get clarinet teachers, but you also get some very average, not so good yoga teachers, the same as anything. There's a real spectrum. But I think that if students are interested, there's so many interesting resources online and books about sort of the more spiritual side of yoga that feeds into the meditation, the breath work, more spirituality, I suppose, but it's sort of all about calming the mind and having focus on something. So I'd say it depends, but I would like to think everybody feels better after a yoga class, or even a 20-minute stretching session.
Okay. Wow, thank you very much. Griselda, would you like to share with us how it looks like this situation in Argentina? I know that you have a while.
Yes, I have to leave, but I want to share that for us is the same. It's the same problem. We try to tell to the student that they have to do something with their bodies, and I feel I found something in the middle. I heard Hannah talk about yoga, and I found the Tai Chi Chuan is a really good discipline. I practiced for a long time, and I found this connection between the breath and the meditation. And also, I practice in a kind of a style that is harder. It's not soft Tai Chi, I practice Chen style, and I also can warm up with strength and also with force for my muscles. And I feel this is really good for me, but it's not so interesting for the students. They look for another things, but I'm agree with us, and I think in Argentina it's all more difficult because we have to study and work, and also we have to go to the gym, and it's harder for the students. But I try that they look for something that help for the body, and also I agree that it's connected with the emotional way of playing. Like Hannah said perfectly all the connection. Sorry, because my English isn't very good,
No,
but
Griselda, it's perfect. It's
you
perfect.
understand.
It's
Okay,
perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. George,
you're
how
welcome.
it looks like for you?
Well, I totally agree with the musicians are eventually athletes, and that there's a lot of psychological stress whenever you perform. So exercises, yoga, Tai Chi. I've done a couple of both. I must say I was more successful in Tai Chi than yoga.
Wow.
But yes, I do agree actually. It helps a lot. It helps you reduce the amount of stress, the psychological stress, and also the body stress. One of the things that I found really interesting is like how different ages react to stage fright. When you are young, you kind of forget that you need to focus, and you do kind of forget that you're not going to be young forever. So, taking care of your body is not a thing that you do, or going to the gym is a thing that you do, but getting fit to play the clarinet is not a thing that you do. So, it's not, you don't do that. And it's a discussion I always have with my kids that it's something important to be happen, but somehow it doesn't go there. But also they don't spend enough time to relax before the concert, and they don't spend enough time to focus before a concert, and that actually leads them to go on stage and actually feel quite uncomfortable. In cases I saw them like shaking
Oh,
because they kind of not being mentally ready to do it, which comes to a completely different thing with the older people. Older players, especially professionals, as Hannah said, our schedule is hectic. So they usually don't spend enough time practicing or enough time preparing mentally and technically for something, which ends up creating a more stressful situation, especially when the concert is brand new and is something quite complicated. It actually leads everybody to a very unpleasant situation. Now, especially when it comes to us talking about stage fright, it's a relative new term because growing up in Cyprus, we have been trained that you go on stage and you play, and that's what you do. There's no talking about anything else. And I think it kind of neglected the whole psychological aspect behind it. It kind of neglected the ability that, some people react to different situations very personally. So it prevented a lot of people to actually go in and perform well, or it actually discouraged a lot of people to actually go in and do music in a way that they would like to do it eventually. And this idea is like you have to be trained like a soldier, and you do not talk about your feelings, or you don't talk about how you are. It's something that, thank goodness, is changing nowadays. But when I grew up, this is how it was. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Yes, yes. I think we need to come back to what you said already, connected with how it changed, and for example, why the topic connected with stage fright and generally in mental preparation before the concert is avoided among the musicians, but for example, it's very popular among the sportsmen. So, but I believe we come back because now I would like to ask Sarah about the same question.
Yeah, I completely agree that we need to look after ourselves. And I learned the hard way. And it was actually during COVID as well, that I ended up with severe exhaustion. I think it was partly COVID, but it was also partly just general health issues and being a woman getting to a certain age. And I ended up with very bad anemia, and had to fight through it. And it was at that point I realized that I needed to look after myself. So I did similar things to what you're all talking about. I started running. I set myself a goal of a half marathon and managed it. I don't know how. And from that, I've just been going to the gym regularly. I have regular sports deep tissue massage because I find that really good and really relaxing. I do watch what I eat. We grow our own vegetables, and I love cooking straight out the garden. But also, you'll laugh at me, but
No.
I cut out most of my alcohol. So now I don't really drink at home, and I will limit how much I drink actually when I'm out because I used to be quite a heavy drinker. And we all know during COVID, we all drank a lot of wine in an evening or beer. But I've actually found the health benefits of only doing light social drinking have been absolutely massive. And that's gone into my sleep, just how I feel when I wake up, and my energy levels. So, yeah, totally agree with everything.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. So what is connecting us? So it means that we all do something with our body, or we do something for our body to feel better in a life. And thanks to this, our clarinet playing it's better. So now come back to my question. So why this kind of the topic connected with stage fright, with stress in general, is avoided among the musician, and why it's so popular among sportsmen? Because actually we both are going and we have performances and we have audience, the same like sportsmen. So it's as well kind of the most important part of our life. Because, for example, in Poland, from my point of view, I would like to share with you that it's even more and more popular, some kind of the studies like mental preparation for sportsmen, and you can do some postgraduate study from this kind of the field. But for musicians, there is nothing actually, and I see as well that in Poland, musicians try to avoid this kind of the topic, and even if somebody has some problem, it's better to resign from playing the instrument instead for asking about the help. So how do you see that? Would you like to share?
I mean, I've got a thought on it. Coming from a sports background and now being in a music background, there's just no money in the research. So for sport, there's so much money at stake at the high level sport that anything that can help the sports get better and improve has so much money thrown into it. Like it's really well funded, which is why I think now there's so many more studies, there's courses people can do, there's funding there. So I want to try and do some funding into how yoga can help musicians in the performance. And I've contacted some of the funding bodies in the UK. And the reply is generally, we fund musicians playing music. We don't fund other stuff. And I like, there must be some funding and things out there to do research. But in the UK anyway, I've sort of hit a bit of a brick wall where there just isn't, either people aren't willing to sort of go into it, or there just isn't funding available to research it. So I think that's I think just money and funding of the arts is a big problem in that.
So general money in arts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you try to help your students somehow as well?
Yeah, the biggest the biggest thing, because obviously I don't want to comment or really speak to them a lot about exercise, because particularly if they're in school, they're doing exercise at school and their time is precious outside of school. So one of the biggest things I do is just some very simple breathing exercises that are from yoga that are all to do with tapping into your vagus nerve, which is the sort of the bit of your body that helps to calm you down, essentially. So it's like the anti-stress hormones are in your vagus nerve. So there's certain things that you can do, certain breathing techniques. One of them is called box breath, which was sort of made famous by Wim Hof, the ice guy, becoming quite famous. And then there was a couple of other celebrities that did sort of wellness TV programs in the UK, and they were talking about box breath as like this meditation, calms you down. It can sort of help you get through stressful or like difficult situations, helps you to adjust to that ice bath if you're into that kind of thing, because it helps to just control your hormones essentially in your body. So a couple of really basic breathing techniques like that. Something that, I mean, I use it myself for auditions and if I'm particularly feeling stressed before a performance. But that's, I think for me, is the simplest thing I can pass on to my students, apart from doing some warm-ups, making sure you're not all tight and stiff, but just learning to breathe properly, not with the clarinet in your hand, just, something that they can do every day if they feel stressed.
Okay, thank you. Great idea. Because as well, the breathing exercises we can connect as well with our clarinet playing. So if we show something, they can believe that it could improve as well playing. So maybe sometimes it's the way to convince them to do something. Somebody would like to add something to this question or this topic?
I can
I
kind
do.
of
Oh,
George.
perfect.
George? Okay. Yeah, I've been coming at it very much from a sports perspective as well. We tackle it at university head on. So right from start of semester, my students are pretty open and performance anxiety comes straight in. So we have a lot of discussions within class and we just have a really supportive environment. But it got me thinking about sports and the relationship like that sports people have with stage fright and how they kind of counteract it. And I came across a really interesting book called The Chimp Paradox, which is actually by a Sheffield-based writer, Steve Peters. And that really got me thinking about how he works with sports people. And Barbara, can I share my slides?
Of course, yes.
I will try. Oh God, can I even remember how to share a slide at this time of night? I think
There is
give
Oh,
me
yes. Perfect.
fantastic. This is a bit of an experiment, but I've been
We don't see, but
there we go.
perfect. Yes, we have it.
Gosh, how do I, yeah, here we go. And this is a part of like some slides I've been showing to my student. I'm still kind of working at them, working at this idea. And it's the whole thing about perfection, because I think perfection is why we have stage fright, and especially students at university, all they want to do is play 100% perfect. And because of that, they get in a real state and they stop taking risk and their playing becomes a little bit dull and they make more mistakes. So we've been talking a lot about risk and perfection. And I'm based in Sheffield, and Sheffield hosts the World Championships of the snooker. So we're very big on snooker here. And I watched Ronnie O'Sullivan's documentary, and he's very vocal about stage fright within snooker. And it really got me thinking, is perfection 100% possible? And why, as musicians, are we expected to be 100% perfect? It's just not possible. And if you look at snooker, their equivalent of perfect is a 1-4-7, where they get all the balls in the pot. But if you look into the stats, Ronnie O'Sullivan, for example, has only done it 17 times in his whole career, over 33 years. Now, can you imagine if we only played 17% of our concerts perfect? You know, that pressure is on us all the time. So I use snooker as an example, but then I was doing a little bit more research and thinking, is perfection possible? So we know no. And even when Ronnie won the world championship, he was only 92% perfect. So I say to my students, if Ronnie can be 92% perfect, you have permission to make a few mistakes in a concert. And I'm finding this has really helped the students, and it makes them laugh as well, which is always, I think, positive. And so we ask the question, what is better, perfection, or do we aim for excellence? And I looked into some research in this, and there's a lot of documentation to say that actually perfectionism is very bad for well-being and your psychology. And if you aim for perfectionism, you put so much pressure on yourself that it's counteractive. Whereas if you aim for excellence, it's just a much better frame of mind, and you're more likely to go on stage without that extra kind of ton of weight and pressure on you. So I do have a couple of readings that I can share with you that I found. So there's Please Don't Stop the Music, a new look at the performance anxiety of musicians with the model of excellence and perfectionism. And I found that really, really good to present to the students, and they seem to be responding very well to, oh, it's okay to go on stage and make a mistake, and therefore they're performing better. And also, I've got earlier slides as well, their performances are more spicy because they're able to go on stage and take risk, and so they're being much more successful within their performances. So that's my moment of madness, but I kind of like talking a little bit within that bounds.
Wow, that's great combination and great view for perfection and excellent. And I would add to this as well that really often we afraid to be judged. Because if we know that we go to the stage and we are going to be judged, and we are always, so that makes us scary because we all want to be perfect. So that's why it's a problem. And Sarah, you told it perfectly that it's almost impossible to do. And especially that music, it's kind of the subjective art. So for example, what I like and what I think that it's, oh wow, it's so great. For example, for you, it's not. And for George, for Hannah, for Robert, for Griselda, for everybody. So we have different taste, and as well according to even clarinet playing the same piece. So we have different tradition, or even beginning from the quality of the sound or on color of the sound. So for us musicians, it's almost impossible to be perfect, and for sure for be perfect for everybody and for us as well, because if we stop to grow up and we think, yes, I'm perfect now, I can play exactly how I want, so it means that we will probably never ever practice clarinet again, because if we are perfect, so we don't need. So thank you very much, Sarah, for sharing this with us, because I think it's a really great example. And according to this, how you prefer before you start your performance? Do you do some exercises, or how it looks like you, for example, a week before the performance? Do you have some habits which help you?
Yes.
Oh, Robert,
No,
okay.
no, no, no. Excuse me, because I have with problem in my
It's fine.
children. I must leave meeting. Have a nice evening. It's a very pleasure for me. Thank you very much, Barbara, and best regards. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so would you like to share? Okay, so I can start with myself. So when I know that it's 1 week to my performance, I need to feel that I'm really prepared. So from the technical point of view, I need to know that I know the piece. So there is no more places which I need to practice again. And I try to always look for my reads before, because in the last moment I know that it's too late, and especially if I would like to warm up new reads, I need more time. So 1 week before the concert already I have some order of my reads, and when I go somewhere and I don't know if my reads change according to the humidity, so I try to look for some different kind of the reeds, so a little bit stronger, a little bit lighter, but with the kind of the sound which I really like. And what is important for me as well, 1 week before the concert, so I try to take care about myself. So this is what we talked before. So I try to do everything slower than before. So I try to don't rush with nothing. Even when I pack my things, I try to do it in 2 days before, not in the last moment, so not make me stress. But it wasn't like that from the beginning. I just learned how to do it before, because before, even just when I finished my study, I realized that really often I got sick. And I started to afraid that if I do something in the last moment, and when I start my preparation the last moment, there probably maybe I will be sick and there will be no time to improve what I wanted. So that's why it's really important for me to know and be prepared before. So this is my experience.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same as that. I went through a phase of just being continually ill, flu, chest infections, like tonsillitis, everything that then affected my playing. But I think my approach to it is not so much I have a set routine for every concert I do or every big thing. I just try to have more of a routine in life. So make sure that I'm getting like good sleep, I'm nourishing my body with proper food, because I can tell immediately if I have a couple of nights of bad sleep, I drink too much or I eat badly, then everything is affected, you know, my focus, my playing, how I feel generally. So I don't necessarily have that pre-performance thing. I just try to implement little changes in my life that can make everything slightly less stressful, which benefits everything. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would you like
I
to
think
start?
in
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, thank you,
I
George. Yes,
think
yes.
I think in general the habits each player needs to find their own strengths and weaknesses, and needs to adjust according to the area or the style or whatever he's going to play at. I see from my experience and from my colleagues and students' experience, I mean, life is hectic. So usually we don't really have the time to prepare well. And it's this is a fact that I think we all understand, that you wish that you have 1 more week for something, or you just wish you put that extra hour when you had the time to. I think you have to, this is what I always tell my colleagues and my students, is like before going on stage, you have to accept a few facts that, you know, your read is not going to work at some point, or you are going to mess up something that you didn't mess before. And it's okay. It's fine. You know, it's not important. I think you have to let yourself away from that stress that, oh my God, what he's going to say. You know what? At the end of the day, nobody's going to say anything. If it's a good concert, it's a good concert. That's about it. And I think it's important for everybody to understand that. A good friend of mine, Eric Thomas, told me once when I was younger, and of course I was like, what is he talking about? You are playing for people. You don't play for clarinetists. So you don't think about pleasing a clarinetist. Think about, you know, playing for the people that actually enjoy music. The clarinetist will never be happy with what you do. And you know what? The older I get, I think that thing is it's a very wise comment. Now, regarding my habits, as a typical Mediterranean person, it's all last minute, and I'm very sad to say that unfortunately we do struggle with that a lot. But no, it's for myself before going in on stage, I have this small meditative session. It helps me calm down and it helps me focus a bit more and it helps me focus a bit before the stage. So anxiety is always there, but if you work on anxiety in a positive way, I think you can actually benefit for the adrenaline that it gives you.
Thank you, George. Thank you. So, from your point of view, acceptation, it's very important. Okay. Sarah, would you like to add something as well?
Yeah, I agree with George. We're all very different, and it's very important that when we do what we need to do ourselves before we play. So my ensemble over in Belfast have learnt very quickly that the only thing I think about a couple of hours before a concert is food, because I know I need something in my tummy before I play. I can't play if I'm hungry. And so for me, making sure that I have something to eat before I play is so important. And that's just my routine. And the people I play with now know that, we have to cut a rehearsal off because Sarah needs to eat.
Wow.
And I think from a teaching point of view, I tell my students that yes, they should be prepared, but it's also very important that they take time off as well, because we can't practice for 12 hours a day. We're just going to injure ourselves and get really stressed. And so I tell my students that they must find treat time. And that the best thing in preparation for an exam or an important concert is tea and cake. And I try and build that into like the performance workshops we have. It's like, no, if you're having a bad day of practice, if you're tired and exhausted, you don't have to practice because you might benefit more from taking that time off and going and treating yourself. And that's something that I've learned to do myself as well. So yeah, I like to be as prepared as possible. But if I am really exhausted, actually it's better for me just to have a bit of a treat day.
Oh yeah, that's extremely important. I totally agree with you, Sarah. Oh, so according to this, what with the injuries? Because if we practice a lot or when we are practicing and we feel that, oh my God, still there is a lot of things to do, our body started to get stressed as well, and we strengthen our body, and then we can have couple of injuries like pain, oh, everywhere, like starting with our thumb to the hand and going to back, arms, and head, like keeping as well even headache. So, do you have any solution for that to prevent? Maybe. Let's start with preventing.
I mean, I'm very biased, but I think a very simple yoga practice does a lot. Um, Even just, because you just need to get in the habit of doing something. So if you get in the habit of doing a little warm-up routine, even if it's 5 minutes of like very simple, like, just working the wrists or taking some neck circles, then it makes a massive difference. Like I've had so many students that, you can tell that they've had a really bad day or a really bad week or whatever, and they sound terrible and they know that they sound bad. So then they're getting more and more stressed. And it's like, and then you can see their shoulders getting closer and closer to their ears and they get more frustrated with themselves. And it's just like, whoa, just take a minute, like relax, do like even just like shrug your shoulders back or like sometimes it's really cathartic to like shout or like scream or do something that sort of releases tension and then they come back and they're like, oh, okay, I'm a different player now. And it's just that like your body, there's a really good book about there's many good books about yoga and why it works. but your body keeps score. So if you've had a week of bad sleep, a week of stress, lots of things going on, you're never going to be playing at your best. And then you spiral because then psychologically, you're not playing well. And then you think, oh, I need to practice more. And then it's not helpful. Like Sarah said, you need to have a rest. But it's knowing sort of methods of like resetting your body. So I guess learning some coping mechanisms because different people, different things work. Like some people hate yoga, they hate sitting still, they can't do that. So that's obviously not a good solution to try and force upon them. But I think every student should be encouraged to find some way of protecting their body and some way of protecting their mind as they sort of go through their journey because yeah, your body retains all of that stress, everything in, and it sort of has a negative effect if not sort of looked after. I mean, I also learned that the bad way, the hard way. It's just constantly like had neck ache, shoulder pain. And when I first started playing bass clarinet at uni, I was like this. And I was playing like this, and I was like, why is one shoulder like up here all the time? And it took my teacher to literally remind me every 10 minutes, be like, shoulder down, because you're just playing wonky, and it was just a stress thing, genuinely. But you don't notice that you're doing these sort of physical habits until somebody else picks up on them. So that was a really long-winded answer, but I mean, I'm so passionate about it, but that's a very biased opinion from somebody who teaches yoga.
Oh,
So,
that's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, so body exercises are very important.
and just having ways of de-stressing, whether that's, you like to read a book because that completely clears your mind, or whether going for a cup of tea with a friend like every day or something is something that's going to help you reset, or going for a run, or, going swimming, knitting, just something like having some sort of method to like you're going to put the clarinet away and you're not going to think about the clarinet for half an hour, day, whatever it's going to take to sort of get rid of that stress cycle.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
I have been dealing, sorry, Sarah. I have been dealing a lot with teenagers. And one of the things you see is, as Hannah said, they just cannot stay still. It's always a struggle for them to stay still. And they are into this mood now. They have to play faster and they have to play louder and they have to do that and they have to show off. They are in this thing. One of the most important aspects that I always try to do with them is actually, I know that they're not going to do anything that I'm going to say to them, and eventually they are going to do their own thing anyways. But the older they get, and now that the teenagers have become like young adults, and some of them do it professionally, some others, they don't. They all come back to the basics. You just need to take your time. You need to warm up. You need to, do some stretching. So I think teaching them from a young age, even if they are not going to do it, insisting on a few things is actually going to go into their heads and actually go into their routine. And slowly, when they actually grow up and all this adrenaline slows down, they are actually going to start working on it. I do try to help them with some injury prevention. So I always show them a few things there and there. But in some cases that I had people with issues, I always consulted somebody professional. I actually went to the point of having a doctor around, showing some of my students some postures that we cannot spot. And show them a couple of bad habits. One of them was quite simple. It's like change your thumb rest, like
Oh,
with a
wow.
bigger thumb rest. And it was, I mean, you wouldn't think about it, but it makes so much difference for them. So I always, when things get really hard, I always go to like medical professionals and ask them their opinions about it. And yes, actually, this is prevention is one of the biggest things for me.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, I agree. And now as well, I do book in regular deep tissue massage as well. there's a very good company that I use, and I just find that's been amazing just to go, once a month and have a really deep massage. And actually, I went a few weeks ago, and my physio was like really focusing actually on hand and arm muscle as well. And he's like, well, this needs more work than your back because it's years of work on it. And I mean, it was pretty painful after, but I felt so good, like actually for the first time in a long time, like just standing up and playing. So I think as well, it's finding a physio who understands what you do, and knows exactly where to go to. And again, I think sports physios are better than just a general physio. They treat us like sports person. And I found that's really helped. And then one final thing, I think it's knowing where to go to as a musician when you have a performance injury. And we have an organization in the UK called BAPAM, and they offer clinics and free advice.
Oh,
They do online workshops as well, on various mental health issues with musicians. And if you're on a low income as well, they will give you funding towards treatment, and they'll put
wow.
you in contact with specialists. I'll put the link in because I think even if you're not in the UK, it's really, really interesting. And I've referred a lot of students in the past to BAPAM. When doctors are dismissing things, because a doctor will be like, well, you're a musician, have a rest, don't play, or it's tendonitis all the time. And often it takes a specialist to actually find out what's going wrong. So BAPAM have been great. And I think even outside of the UK, you could still register for their free online Zoom workshops, which are really incredible.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sarah, for recommendation. That's very important, and it's great that you have something like that, because I think if somebody has a problem and maybe afraid to ask, maybe there is as well great way to find a help. So thank you very much. Okay.
Sorry, Barbara,
Yes.
I would like to add something that it might be useful resource for everybody.
Mhm.
We had a colleague in Cyprus that he started originally as I put his link down in the chat. He started officially as a performer, but he switched to medical, and he's whatever muscular something, one of those things that I don't know how to pronounce.
Mhm.
But he's working in a research center, and he created with his team a software that basically it sees your hologram, and you attach several sensors to yourself, and it actually you play and it tells you exactly where you have stress, how much stress you have, which position you need to change, and it
Wow.
shows you on a muscular base and on the medical aspect how much problem you have or how much potential problem you have and what you need to do to prevent injuries. It's still on a beta mode right now. He tested it out on us several times, but I think they aim to take it to the market within the next 3, 4 years. So it's a resource to keep an eye on.
Wow. Wow. That sounds very, very interesting. Thank you very much, George. Wow. So I believe that soon we'll have more places who could help musicians. So there will be not only focus on sport, but as well for music, because I think it's very important. Okay, so to sum up everything, I would like to ask you the last question. So, what advice would you give to young musicians who already start their career and playing the instrument to prevent the injuries and as well to reduce some stage fright?
Okay, I'll go then. Number one, look after yourself. And number two, aim for excellence and not perfection.
Right. Thank you.
I'll go next. I think trying to find some sort of control over their life, because it can feel, particularly when I mean, I graduated and then it was COVID, but I felt like I was out of control of every aspect of my life, which I think, like, when you're scrambling around for your first ever gigs, trying to do auditions, trying to teach, trying to find students to teach, it can all feel very overwhelming. So I guess it's trying to find some control, whether that be you know how to control your breath. You're like, right, I know I'm going to get this much sleep a night, or you like running, or just building something in so that you can feel in control of, yeah, what you're doing.
Thank you.
I will go with acceptance and understanding in what you want to do and how you want to do it. Honesty in what you do and how do you approach it, and then patience to reach your goals.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so I would like to add to everything what you told. Don't be afraid to be judged, because it will be every time during and of your life, in every field of your life, not only being at the stage. Thank you very much for being with me today, spending the time and sharing your experience and knowledge. I really think that it's very important topic, and thank you for sharing with your experience, because I think it's really amazing. And it's great to know that we all try to do something with our body, to do some sports or exercises, body exercises. And as well, it's great to know that we all try to reduce our stress, because we all have it in the life. So thank you very much for this. And I hope to see you somewhere and very soon.